Hi makers, welcome to this tutorial on how to put together your scissor arm. Even if you haven't finished making your handles and printing your end piece, you can still start putting some pieces together. And on this video, we're gonna focus on how to put together the scissor links that are gonna be in the middle of your scissor arm. And of course, in case this is your choice, the choice you've made, how to put together the mechanism to move the boxing glove type of thing up and down or left to right, depending on how you see it. So the first things first, before we put anything together, I'd like for you guys to recognize this pattern, which is having a piece, whether if it's the handle or one of the scissor links, kind of up. And then after it reaches this part, it goes up. I mean, it was down, it goes up. Then here it's linked to another piece going down, up, down, up, in order to create like this kind of line or this kind of pattern. Whereas like a straight line, if you start opening it up, it makes a straight line. I don't know if you could see it. I only brought this because usually some people have trouble creating that pattern. And as you can see here, we had the same pattern. We were following the same pattern, and then the last pieces, or the last in this case the gripper kind of thing, it just landed on top of everything else. And although it still works, this will make you or require you to put some extra efforts or some extra force onto the scissor arm, therefore incrementing the possibility of the handles breaking, especially around this part, around the first scissor joint. And on that note as well, sometimes what we add to this handles in order to make them a little stronger, it's a small popsicle stick, which you can see here. What you'll need to do is to grab a couple of popsicle sticks, you glue them around this area, glue the two of them, and hold them with these grippers. Now this is something I recommend to do before you start putting this together, not while or once you have finished the rest of your scissor arm. Just consider it making it. And as you can see, the popsicle stick is wide, but not wide enough to go on the sides of the scissor links. Just make sure it's center so it doesn't create some extra friction around this area. Okay, again, this is another example of a well put together scissor arm. Now, of course, this might be very obvious, but the way this works is we have a couple scissor links that are going to be joined together by the center. And here, with the use of the scissor joint, which is this one, and its cap, we're gonna put it together. Now the cap kind of fits nicely. Sometimes it kind of feels like it's gonna stay there forever, but it's not. So we're gonna have to add some glue here and then put it together. And for that matter, and of course, scissor joints are also added on the extremes, on the ends of both pieces. But I'm not gonna do it right now here, but rather I'm just gonna try to fix this one that came off. So you add the scissor link here. Notice how it comes out on the other side a little bit, enough so it can be tight with this one. And the amount of glue that is needed for this operation is not a lot. Like a few drops of super glue will do the trick. So you put on a couple of drops. See, that's about how much you need. And install the cap. Maybe that was too much, but yeah, and just let it set for a few minutes. Yeah, don't try to use it immediately because this is super glue, but it's not kind of it's not very instant. So even if it starts like gluing it all together, it'll take it a few minutes to actually be able to use it without any hiccup. But yeah, so you want to add about grab like 6 scissor links. Remember these long pieces, and have those scissor links like put together and in the middle of your scissor arm. If you put less than this, it's fine. You can do like 4, where I'm pointing at 2 because there's 2 also on the bottom. But you can do 4, you can do 6, you can do more than 6. But this is the point. I mean, and 6 without counting the end pieces, whether if it's the handles or the gripper / boxing glove. But I would suggest to stay with 6 as the maximum, because the more pieces you put on, the more this whole thing is gonna weight, and that will require the more effort. And again, that increases the possibility of this breaking, even with the popsicle sticks on. So once you have your 6 scissor links joined by the centers and the ends, you'll want to pay attention to the way, kind of like the way this goes. For example, the way it's put together. For example, in here, notice that this piece goes on the top, this one goes on down. So this mechanism, and to our point of like putting together the mechanism, also has to have one of its sides going down to the right, so it fits nicely and again in line with the rest of the scissor link, and the left piece being on the top position, so it kind of respects that order. That's just to say, and will lead us to create and put together the mechanism. That goes to say that once you're like putting this together, and imagine like our rest of the scissor arms, or the scissor links in the center are like this. While we're putting these 2 together, you want probably, like this piece going this way and the other one going that way. You see, kind of like create that same, like more like this. Yeah, so you kind of stay in line with the rest of what you have created as your scissor arm. Now, how do you put the mechanism together? And this is for the people making the boxing glove thing. You'll need these pieces. You'll need 2 of these plaques. You need 2 of this gear mechanisms, or gear scissor links. You'll need 1 casing. Now check that this one, I've already removed the supports from it, but you'll find them like this. So make sure you grab a couple of long nose pliers and you remove it from them. They might be easy. Some of them will be hard to remove, but yeah, this one's kind of easy. Yeah, so make sure you remove the supports from your casing. And this is the shape that on video 4.5 your piece will adopt and kind of be assembled with. You'll, of course, later when you're like putting or you're gluing the scissor arm, you're gonna glue it around here, your boxing glove. So how do we put this together? Again, counting that we already checked how the scissor arm is put together, and checking that this is kind of like the pattern it's following, I'm gonna put these 2 together in line, making sure that these are kind of like next to each other, parallel to each other. We're gonna put on a couple of dowels here. These dowels are 26 millimeters, or like an inch long. They must be around the same box where you find these pieces, but in case you haven't, there's dowels and there's ways to cut these here in the makerspace. So just make your own. Our 26 millimeters is the measurement. And of course, these dowels are loose. So what's gonna happen here is it's a little tricky, but see that I'm trying to keep things in their position. Now I'm gonna bring one of these plaques I'm about to put the other one on the other side. Now carefully, I'll bring the casing to kind of keep everything in place. And that's it. You'll know you've done a good work if, again, these lines are parallel when they're closed down. And when you can move the other one, you can move one to the side and the other one moves accordingly. And of course, you'll know you've done this well if before you glue everything together, this follows the pattern that you needed. I think I failed in that last part. But I'm gonna do a little switch in here, I guess. Yeah. Well, in this case, I just have the one scissor length, so I can make modifications kind of easily. Again, you'll use the scissor links and scissor joints and caps to tie this together. And to glue this, I mean, this looks like it's not gonna go anywhere, but again, it can come off kind of easily. So once you have this together and you've assembled it to this, you might want to add some glue here in between the seams of these plaques on both extremes and the casing. Do not add glue inside of the mechanism because that's gonna ruin it. Yeah, so now I'm not gonna put any. But try putting, especially this this green glue, which is a little more liquid than the other one. Try to put some here in between the seam, and you know, a drop will first you'll add the drop and it will like kind of get into the mechanism. A few drops here, and these corners will make the trick. So that's kind of like the tutorial, guys. I feel like you can use a good amount of time putting this together, but it's gonna be worth it. And you know, if you and of course at the end of these pieces you'll have the handles, which I already told you how to put together, or rather like how to make a little more stronger, and the end piece. Make sure you print this. You let's cut these if there's time and if everything's going well, and I'll see you in a couple days.